On January 21st, 2020, at 3:45 p.m. in Vivian, Louisiana, Dottie Yates-McCathran called her friend crying to inquire about a restaurant job the friend had recently been offered. She wanted to take the job instead because she and her husband, Kevin, had been fighting all day, and she really needed to get away. Suddenly, the crying stopped, and she quickly pulled herself together, greeting whoever entered the room with "Hi." She then returned to the conversation with her friend and spoke for a bit longer. After hanging up, Dorothy was never seen or heard from again. Dorothy Allen Yates-McCathran, who went by Dottie, was born on October 15, 1979. She was adopted as a child and was reportedly very close to her adoptive mother, Martha Mullins. During her teenage years, Martha and her husband, Chester, divorced, making life at home difficult for Dottie and her siblings. In school, she was described as a popular and athletic student and played soccer throughout high school. After graduating, she moved to Waco, Texas to attend college to study interior design. It was during her college years that she developed an addiction to hydrocodone following a forehead injury. This unfortunately led to a long-term struggle with substance abuse that spanned roughly 20 years and involved multiple attempts at rehabilitation. It was during Dottie's time in rehab that she met Kevin, who was also dealing with substance abuse. From the beginning, their relationship was plagued with constant conflict and allegations of domestic abuse. Still, they remained together and eventually married and had a daughter. However, this did nothing to quell the underlying issues. By 2020, she and Kevin had been married for about 7 years, and both her 6-year-old daughter and a 14-year-old son were living with her parents in Shreveport. On her daughter Emma Jo's 6th birthday, on January 20th, 2020, she called her mother, Martha, extremely upset and crying because she didn't have a way to get to her mother's home in Shreveport to see her daughter. But she promised them that she'd be there on Saturday, the 25th, for the actual birthday party. Dottie was so distressed sounding on the phone that her mother noted feeling a sense of unease after hanging up, describing it as a feeling in the pit of her stomach that something was wrong. Sadly, she never spoke to her daughter again. The next day, on January 21st, Dottie made her final call at 3:45 that afternoon when she called her friend crying. After that, she was never heard from again. The following day, Martha received a call from Kevin while she was picking up her granddaughter from school. He informed her he hadn't seen Dottie since the previous day and claimed he returned from looking for a job to find her gone. If he wasn't there, who did she say hi to while on the phone with her friend? He said when he arrived, he found a bizarre scene. The television remote control was partially melted on the wood stove. Plastic and other materials were found burning inside the stove. Clothes were scattered around as if someone had left in a hurry, and a pot of food was left cooking on the stove. In addition, Dottie's purse, identification, and makeup were all left behind. Kevin initially suggested that Dottie might be staying with a friend, which is something she had done before. However, by the 23rd, when there was still no word from her, Martha called the Caddo Parish Sheriff's Office and expressed her concerns. However, it was when she failed to show up for Emma Jo's birthday party on the 25th as promised that Martha raised the alarms. She called the detective at the sheriff's office, and by the 27th, Dottie was officially reported missing. In April of that year, an individual had strangely left a package full of information about Dottie's disappearance near a cash register at an Exxon gas station in Vivian. Inside the package was a newspaper clipping regarding Dottie's disappearance, as well as handwritten notes directly on or with the clipping. There were also hand-drawn maps indicating specific areas of interest. This led to multiple searches using drones and K9 units on a 5-acre property on Vivian Airport Road in Vivian, Louisiana. 300 to 400 feet from the home on the property, investigators located a knit cap, a watch, and jewelry, which Dottie's family later confirmed belonged to her. There was also a feather boa found, but it's unclear if that belonged to her or not. Sometime after her disappearance, Kevin reportedly found a phone hidden under the porch of their home. Dorothy's other phone was found inside the house on the day she vanished, alongside her purse and ID. 16 months after going missing, while at Emma Jo's soccer game, Kevin handed both phones to Martha. When they turned them over to the Caddo Parish Sheriff's Office, they found them so broken and damaged that nothing could be retrieved. To this day, Kevin continues to maintain he was in the city with his cousin looking for work when she disappeared, though family members have publicly expressed skepticism. If you or anyone you know has information regarding the disappearance of Dorothy Allen Yates-McCathran, please call Detective Matthew Pergerson at 318-681-0708 or call the Sheriff's Office main line at 318-675-2170. You can also submit tips online at the Caddo Shreveport Crime Stoppers website. Dottie was last seen on January 21, 2020, and as of April 2026, she remains missing, and this case remains unsolved. In early September 2000, an employee at a gravel pit near Benton Road in Bossier City, Louisiana, was moving dirt on the recently leased property when he made a shocking discovery. Under tons of gravel and dirt was an old pickup truck that had been crushed down to its chassis. In the bed of the truck were the skeletal remains of Jan Todd and Jodie Toney, dancing partners who went missing 5 years earlier. Jan Todd was 34 years old when she went missing and was the mother of 2 children. She'd previously been a long-haul truck driver, but quit and took a job at Libby Glass in Shreveport because she wanted to be home with her children. JT, on the other hand, was 40 years old and was a father of 3 children, 2 sons and a daughter. He was married, but he and his wife had separated, forcing him to live with his sister and brother-in-law. JT worked at the family business, Toney's East Ridge Grocery. Both had grown up in the Bossier-Shreveport area and had met through the local nightlife scene. There's no evidence they were dating and were just described as dancing partners, as they both shared a love for country western dancing and were frequent patrons of a country western nightclub, Tequila Willie's. On the night of August 10, 1995, JT finished sanding and refinishing a wooden countertop at the grocery store before driving across the Red River to Tequila Willie's. Jan arrived at the club separately by taxi. The two were seen dancing together throughout the night, and around 3 or 4 a.m. on August 11th, they were spotted at Sue's Country Kitchen, a popular after-hours spot. Witnesses saw them leave the restaurant together in JT's two-toned blue pickup truck, which he'd borrowed from his family. After leaving, they were never seen alive again. When JT didn't show up for work and Jan failed to pick up her paycheck, their families grew concerned. JT's sister, Shirley Lofton, began visiting the bars he was known to frequent, but nobody claimed to have seen him. That's when they were reported missing. When their bodies were discovered in the bed of the crushed truck, there were also shotgun shell casings and wadding from inside the shells. Bossier Parish then brought in inmates to help sift through the dirt and discovered Jodie's wallet and ID. The case would then go cold until 2023, when the Bossier Parish Sheriff's Office received a surge of new tips, pointing them in the direction of Tommy Connor and Kent Lyles as primary persons of interest. It was revealed that the pair may have operated as hired hitmen within a criminal culture centered around the Green Park Marina and Bar. This new information also linked the men to another 1995 cold case, the murder of Shirley McCoy, who was the part owner of the Green Park Marina. At the time of her death, she was embroiled in a legal battle with her ex-husband, Robbie McCoy, over the property. Investigators now believe there is a direct connection between the two cases, rooted in a group of individuals who frequented the marina in the early 90s. Unfortunately, both Connor and Lyles are now dead, along with Robbie McCoy. If you or anyone you know has information regarding the murders of both Jan Todd and Jodie Toney, please call the Bossier Crime Stoppers at 318-424-4100 or call the Bossier Parish Sheriff's Office at 318-965-2203. Jan, Todd, and Jodie Toney were murdered on the night of August 10, 1995, and as of April 2026, their case remains unsolved. On June 4, 2015, the dismembered and unclothed remains of a 16-year-old girl were found on Interstate 10 in New Orleans, Louisiana. Due to her location, she'd been struck by multiple vehicles before her remains were recovered. 4 days later, the remains were identified as belonging to Kaylan Ward, a runaway who'd been missing for approximately 8 days. While the official cause of death was listed as undetermined, her family believes foul play is involved. Kaylan Unique Ward was born on April 4, 1999, and grew up in New Orleans. When she ran away from home, she'd just completed her sophomore year at McDonough 35 Senior High School. She was described as a smart and mischievous individual who loved dancing. She'd spent the last several years at Studio G Dance and Gymnastics Company in East New Orleans. The last time she was seen was around midnight on the night before her death near Earhart Boulevard and Magnolia Street in Central City, where she was reportedly seeking a ride to North Miro Street. While the New Orleans Police Department initially investigated her death as a traffic fatality, a homicide detective was later added. Her mother believes Kaylan was murdered elsewhere and dumped on the interstate. She even identified a potential suspect named Quan Allen, also known as Quan Thomas. She'd expressed concerns over Kaylan's relationship with Allen, but when questioned, he denied there was an improper relationship and was never charged with any crimes. Kaylan's mother, Kenesha Martin, had remained a vocal advocate for justice in her daughter's case, even authoring a book titled The Kaylan Ward Story, in order to keep the case in the public eye. She doesn't believe her daughter would have ever walked along the interstate. If you or anyone you know has information regarding the death of Kaylan Ward, please call Crime Stoppers of Greater New Orleans at 504-822-1111. Kaylan was found dead on June 2, 2015, and as of April 2026, her case remains unsolved.